Good news is that Alex wrote a great piece about student-led accelerator Envision. Talk to us about what you found out, Alex.
Okay, so a couple months ago, some people reached out to me via email, just completely cold, didn't know them, no shared context that I knew of at the time. And they're like, hey, we're a couple of recent grads, we're working with a bunch of students. We are building a virtual accelerator aimed at bringing lots of diverse founders into the mix. We're going to give them $10K in non-dilutive capital. We put together an awesome program. We've got killer advisors, and we're going to run them through this 8-week thing and then have a virtual demo day. And I was like, how old are you? And they're like, we just graduated. And I was like, oh, when I was your age, I was partying. And so I was very impressed with them. And I was curious to see how it would go as an experiment. So I covered the early stage, and I was waiting to hear from them kind of at the end. And of course, they reached out and they were finishing up and we caught up. And they got 17 companies through their accelerator, and they're already planning their next one for October, so they can do a 10-week program before the end of the year. So students who are taking the first semester off due to COVID, whatever, can do this. And they had some just simply insane stats. Of the 17 companies that they worked with, 1/3 of the founders were Black, around 1 in 5 were Latinx, and more than 75% of the companies had at least one female founder, which just goes to show that there are diverse founders out there if you go and bring them in. And I do think the virtual element allows for a much more diverse crop to appear, even though we didn't see that, Natasha, in the Y Combinator data, which we can talk about if we want to. But I'm just super stoked. The people that I know best there are Annabelle Strauss and Eliana Berger, super smart people. And I was talking to a local Providence entrepreneur yesterday. We were doing a socially distanced coffee, my first for work since March. And it turns out he knows both of them. So it turns out we actually did have a shared network. I didn't know that at the time. But yeah, I'm just impressed. I love seeing people that I still put in the young bucket, even though I don't mean that in a dismissive way at all, do very impressive things and shake things up and show that all the problems that these more established players are having with diversity are maybe more self-inflicted than market-based, is my read.
This is definitely where I'm finding hope right now. And, there's the conversation we've had on this podcast before about how now anyone can become an accelerator. Is that good or bad? This is an example of why it's good in some ways. And on the point of diversity, I feel like explicitness matters so much, intention matters so much. And if a couple of students who don't have the same network as insert big name VC firm here can invest in diverse founders, then anyone can. And a VC I was talking to the other day was like, we need to stop doing the narrative of that it's hard for underrepresented people to get capital because it is the best time for underrepresented people to get capital. It's not easy, but it's also like gonna shoot people in the foot earlier than they even try if we keep pushing this idea that there's no one out there looking for underrepresented founders to invest in.
Yeah, one more quick note about the Envision group, just because I can shout this out because we're on air. If you go to envisionaccelerator.com, ENVISION accelerator.com/portfolio, you can see all the companies and kind of what they do. So if you want to see some really, really early stage student-y led companies, to see what the kids are thinking about, take a peek. Again, not being dismissive, being super stoked about this really cool stuff. And I think, Natasha, you are